The war was just the start. Now we chase the traitors across the galaxy. Commander Minho Park stood on the observation deck of the Nemesis, watching the stars streak by as they traveled deeper into space. 3 months had passed since humanity's surprising victory against the Galactic Alliance. What should have been a time of celebration was now filled with anger and a hunger for justice. Minho's hand tightened around the data tablet he held. On it were the faces of humans who had betrayed their own kind during the war. These traitors had given the enemy secrets about Earth's defenses. Because of them, thousands of innocent people had died. Now these traitors had escaped into the vast reaches of space. "Commander, we're approaching the Cygnus sector." Lieutenant Jiwoo Kim's voice came through the ship's communication system. Jiwoo was the best tactical officer in the fleet, with eyes that could spot patterns others missed. "I'll be right there," Minho replied, taking one last look at the endless void before him. On the bridge, the crew worked with quiet focus. Dr. Sujin Choi, their xenopsychologist who studied alien minds and behaviors, was reviewing profiles of the known traitors. "Their escape wasn't random," Sujin said as Minho entered. "They had this planned long before the war ended. The way they scattered shows careful planning." Security Chief Taewon Lee nodded grimly. "And they took important technology with them. My sources say they're selling our military secrets to the highest bidders." Minho looked at the large screen showing their course. "Any news from the other ships in Task Force Judas?" "The Vengeance tracked one group to the Orion cluster but lost them in an asteroid field," Jiwoo reported. "We're the closest to finding any of them." The Nemesis wasn't the largest or newest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was fast and well armed, perfect for hunting traitors across the galaxy. Its crew had been hand-picked for this mission, each with their own reasons for wanting justice. "Put the latest intelligence on the main screen," Minho ordered. The display changed to show a hidden message that had been discovered in an abandoned traitor hideout. It was incomplete, but what they could read was troubling. Phase 1 complete. War served its purpose. Proceed to designated coordinates for Phase 2. "What does that mean?" Taewon asked. "The war served what purpose?" Sujin frowned. "It suggests the war itself was part of some larger plan. These traitors might not just be opportunists or cowards. They might be working toward something specific." Minho studied the message. "Whatever their plan is, we'll stop it. Jiwoo, do we have a fix on their transport ship?" "Yes, sir. Our scouts report it passed through the Cygnus corridor 2 days ago, heading toward Nexus Station." Nexus Station was a notorious hub for criminals and smugglers, a place where multiple alien species gathered to trade illegal goods far from the laws of civilized space. If the traders had gone there, they were looking for buyers for Earth's secrets or something worse. "Set course for Nexus Station, maximum speed," Minho ordered, "and alert the team to prepare for covert operations. We'll need to blend in." As the ship changed direction, a communication request flashed on the screen. It was from Earth Command. Admiral Unisong's stern face appeared. "Commander Park, we've received new intelligence. The traitor's leader has been identified." An image appeared beside her, a woman with cold eyes and the uniform of Earth's highest military rank. "Former Admiral Da-Un Kang," the admiral continued. "She disappeared right before the final battle of the war. We believe she's been working with the enemy for years." Minho felt his blood run cold. Admiral Kang had been his mentor early in his career. The idea that she had betrayed everything they stood for was almost too painful to believe. "There's more," Admiral Song said gravely. "We found this in her private communications." A short video played, showing the infamous Ganymede massacre, where Earth's colony had lost its defensive shields unexpectedly. Over 10,000 civilians had died when enemy forces bombed the unprotected settlement. The video showed someone deliberately shutting down the shield generators from inside the control room. The camera briefly caught the face of the saboteur, Admiral Kang. Silence fell over the bridge. Taewon's brother had been stationed on Ganymede. He had not survived. "Find her, Commander Park," Admiral Song said. "Find them all. This war might be over, but the battle for humanity's future is just beginning." As the communication ended, Minho looked at his crew. Their faces showed determination, mixed with shock and anger. "The war was just the beginning," Minho said quietly. "Now we chase the traitors across the galaxy, and we will find them, no matter how far they run." The war was just the start. Now we chase the traitors across the galaxy. Nexus Station loomed. Ahead, a massive structure of welded metal and blinking lights floating in the darkness of space. Once a mining facility, it had become a haven for criminals from across the galaxy. Ships of various sizes and origins clustered around it like insects drawn to light. Minho adjusted his civilian clothes one last time as the Nemesis docked. Under a false registration, their ship now appeared as just another trading vessel, its weapons and military markings carefully hidden. "Remember," Minho told his small team, "we're merchants looking for rare metals, nothing more." Jiwoo nodded, tucking a small scanner into her sleeve. "The trader's transport definitely came here. Its energy signature matches our records." Sujin had altered her appearance with temporary skin pigments to look less obviously human. If Admiral Kang is as smart as her record suggests, she won't be using her real face anymore. They passed through the docking bay into the main station. The air inside was thick with strange smells, alien foods, engine fuel, and too many bodies in too little space. Species from across known space moved through the crowded corridors. Some glanced at the humans with new interest. Since the war, humans had gained a reputation for being tougher than they looked. "We need information," Minho said. "Let's find the local broker." In places like Nexus Station, information was the most valuable currency. Every criminal hub had someone who traded in secrets, and Minho had been given a name: Do Hyun, a human who had left Earth decades ago. They found him in a dim corner of what passed for a bar on the station. Do Hyun was older than Minho had expected, with gray hair and eyes that seemed to see through lies. "Earth military," Do Hyun said quietly when they sat down. "You're not the first to come looking for the traitors." Minho tensed. "What do you mean?" 2 days ago, another group came. Not military, but definitely Earth government. Asked the same questions you're about to ask. Jiwoo exchanged a quick glance with Minho. They hadn't been told about any other teams. "We'll pay well for what you know," Minho said, sliding a small data chip across the table. Do Hyun checked the chip's contents and nodded. "The traders you seek split into 3 groups after arriving. One went to the trading sector, one to the lower levels, and one left the station yesterday." "We need names and descriptions," Sujin pressed. "The leader never showed her face," Do Hyun replied. "But I can tell you they're selling something that has the major players very interested. Not just weapons tech, but something bigger." A sudden commotion across the bar caught their attention. A blue-skinned alien was arguing with what appeared to be a human, though. Something about the human's movements seemed wrong. "That's one of them," Do Hyun whispered, pointing to the human. "Dr. Hee Jung-moon, a weapons scientist from Earth's Defense Division." Minho touched the hidden communicator in his ear. "Taewon, we've found one. Trading sector, Section 4. "On my way," came the reply. The traitor must have sensed something was wrong. She suddenly turned, her eyes meeting Minho's across the crowded room. Recognition flashed in her expression before she bolted for the exit. The chase led them through narrow corridors and past startled aliens. The traitor was fast, but Minho had trained for this. He cut through a side passage and emerged ahead of her, blocking her path. "Dr. Moon," he said, "you're wanted for treason against Earth." The woman backed up slowly, her hands raised. "You don't understand what's happening, Commander. The war was just a test." "A test that killed millions," Minho replied. "You helped them." "To save billions," she countered. "The architects have been testing species for millennia. Those who fail are eliminated completely." Before Minho could ask what she meant, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. When she pressed it, her appearance flickered. The human features melted away, revealing something that wasn't human at all. "What are you?" Minho gasped. The creature's skin was pale gray, its eyes large and black. The war was just the beginning, it said in a voice that no longer sounded like Dr. Moon. Soon you'll understand. A blinding flash filled the corridor. When Minho could see again, the creature was gone, leaving only a small device on the E. Floor. Jiwoo and Taewon arrived moments later, weapons ready. Where is she? Taewon demanded. Minho picked up the device. She wasn't human, or she wasn't anymore. I don't know what we're dealing with, but this isn't just about traitors selling secrets. Sujin examined the device. It's some kind of holographic projector, but the technology is nothing like ours. Their communicators buzzed with an emergency signal from the Nemesis. Commander, came the urgent voice of their pilot. We've detected an energy surge in the station's lower levels. Something big is powering up. Minho had a bad feeling about this. Get back to the ship, now. As they raced through the station, aliens were already rushing toward escape pods. Whatever was happening, the locals knew enough to flee. They barely made it back to the Nemesis before explosions began rocking the station. As they pulled away, Minho watched the destruction through the viewport. It wasn't random damage, it was targeted, destroying specific sections of the station. Someone's erasing evidence, Sujin said quietly. Minho stared at the device in his hand. The hunt just got much more complicated. The war was just the start. Now we chased the traitors across the galaxy. The Nemesis drifted silently near the edge of the Ghost Nebula. Strange energy patterns danced across the ship's hull, casting eerie blue shadows through the bridge windows. The ship had suffered damage during their escape from Nexus Station, and repair drones worked on the outer hull. Minho studied the holographic display showing their next destination, an abandoned mining colony on Epsilon 4. According to the Y, data they had recovered from the device left behind by the fake Dr. Moon, this remote outpost held answers. The repairs will be complete in 4 hours, Jiwoo reported, joining him at the display. But there's something else you should see. She pulled up another hologram showing the strange device they had recovered. Sujin had spent days analyzing it. It's not just a holographic projector, Sujin explained, entering the bridge. It contains data, a lot of data. Some of it is encrypted, but I've managed to access parts of it. The hologram changed to show star maps and strange symbols. These are coordinates scattered across the galaxy, Sujin continued, and references to something called the architects and species testing protocols. Minho frowned. The creature mentioned architects too, said they've been testing species for millennia. Testing for what? Taewon asked, his voice hard with suspicion. I don't know, Sujin admitted. But whatever it is, the traitors are connected to it. And these coordinates all point to locations where major battles happened during the war. A chill ran down Minho's spine. You're saying the war itself was some kind of test? Possibly, Sujin nodded. And Epsilon 4 is the next point on their map. As they approached the mining colony 12 hours later, sensors detected no life signs. The colony looked abandoned, its structures half buried in red dust. No signs of ships, Jiwoo reported. If anyone was here, they're gone now. Minho led the ground team, including Sujin and Taewon. They wore protective suits against the thin atmosphere as they explored the silent buildings. This was more than a mining operation, Sujin observed, examining the equipment in what appeared to be a laboratory. These are research tools. In the central building, they found what they were looking for, a room filled with holographic projectors similar to the one they had recovered. But these were much larger and showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy with hundreds of points marked. Look at this, Taewon called from a nearby console. Records of communications between the traitors and something else. Not human, not any known alien species. Minho joined him, reading the displayed messages. His blood ran cold at what he saw. They were reporting on human military capabilities, strengths, weaknesses, how we respond under pressure. Like observers in an experiment, Sujin whispered. A loud beeping from Jiwoo's scanner interrupted them. Commander, a ship is approaching. Earth military signature. Minutes later, they watched as another pursuit vessel landed nearby. The Retribution, a ship similar to the Nemesis but newer and more heavily armed. Its commander, Yoonji Kang, marched down the landing ramp with 4 armed soldiers. Her face was hard, her uniform perfect. "Commander Park," she greeted Minho coldly. "Earth Command sent us to assist in your mission, or take over if necessary." Minho didn't like this development. "We weren't informed of any backup." "Need to know. Bases," Yoonji replied. "What have you found?" Minho shared only basic information, keeping his suspicions about the architects to himself. Something didn't feel right about Yoonji's sudden appearance. That night, as both crews set up camp in the colony's main building, Taiwan approached Minho quietly. "I caught one of Yoonji's crew copying data about the ancient alien civilization," he whispered. "They're not here to help us." Minho nodded. "Keep watch. I don't trust her either." Sujin worked through the night, downloading as much data as possible from the colony's systems. What she found confirmed their worst fears. "The war was engineered," she told Minho in private. "These architects have been watching humanity for centuries, manipulating events. The traitors were their agents." "But why?" Minho asked. "To test our potential," Sujin replied. "And there's something about an ancient alien race that went extinct millennia ago. The architects are looking for something related to them." Their conversation was cut short by a massive explosion that shook the entire colony. Alarms blared as both crews rushed to investigate. "We're under attack," Jiwoo's voice came through the communication system. "Multiple ships approaching." Minho ran toward the landing area where both Earth ships were parked. Through the dust and smoke, he saw Yoonji and her crew already boarding the Retribution. "Wait," he called out. "We need to coordinate our defense." Yoonji paused at her ship's entrance. "There is no we, Commander Park. Good luck surviving." The Retribution took off, firing not at the attacking ships, but at the Nemesis, damaging one of its engines before disappearing into the sky. "They set us up," Taewon growled, helping a wounded crew member toward their ship. With no choice but to flee, Minho ordered an emergency takeoff. The Nemesis limped away from the colony as strange black ships bombarded it with energy weapons. "We can't outrun them with a damaged engine," Jiwoo reported. Minho looked at the swirling colors of the ghost nebula ahead. No one entered the nebula willingly. Its strange energies disrupted ship systems and had been known to drive crews mad. "Set course for the nebula," he ordered. "It's our only chance." As the Nemesis plunged into the shifting clouds of cosmic dust and energy, Minho wondered what other betrayals awaited them in their pursuit of truth. The conspiracy was deeper than any of them had imagined. The war was just the start. Now we chase the traitors across the galaxy. Time seemed to bend inside the ghost nebula. The Nemesis moved slowly through clouds of strange energies that turned from purple to green, to colors the human eye could not name. Systems flickered on and off. The crew experienced strange visions, memories mixed with possible futures. Minho saw his childhood home, then a battlefield he had never visited, then alien worlds with impossible structures reaching into colorful skies. The visions felt more real than dreams, but less solid than reality. "Commander, we're detecting a way out." Jiwoo's voice pulled Minho back to the present. Her face looked tired, as if she too had been fighting mental battles. "There's a stable passage about 10 kilometers ahead." 3 days after entering the nebula, the Nemesis emerged into clear space. The crew was exhausted but alive. More importantly, they had escaped their pursuers. "Where are we?" Minho asked as the navigation systems came back online. "Near Proxima Centauri," Jiwoo replied, sounding surprised. "The nebula somehow pushed us closer to Earth, not farther away." Sujin had spent their time in the nebula analyzing the data they had recovered. "I found something important," she said, bringing up a holographic map. "There's a research facility on Proxima Centauri's second moon. According to these files, it's where the traitors were supposed to deliver something called the final assessment." The Nemesis approached the moon cautiously. It appeared uninhabited, its gray surface scarred with craters. but scans revealed artificial structures hidden beneath the surface. No defenses detected, Taewon reported. But that doesn't mean they're not there. Minho led a small team to the surface. They found an entrance hidden in a crater wall, a door that opened at their approach as if expecting them. Inside was a clean, well-lit facility that looked nothing like a traitor hideout. It resembled an Earth military research center. This doesn't make sense, Taewon whispered as they moved through empty hallways. Where is everyone? They found their answer in a large circular room at the center of the facility. A man stood with his back to them, looking at screens filled with data. He wore an Earth military uniform with general's stars. "I've been waiting. For you, Minho," the man said without turning. Minho froze. He knew that voice. It belonged to General Hyunwoo Park, his father, who had supposedly died when his command ship was destroyed in the final battle of the war. "You're alive?" Minho whispered as the general turned to face him. Hyunwoo looked older than Minho remembered, with new scars on his face. "Some traitors are actually saviors, son. You need to understand what we're really fighting." Before Minho could respond, movement caught his eye. More people entered the room from side doors. Some wore Earth military uniforms, others wore civilian clothes. Minho recognized several faces from the traitor profiles he had studied, and then came another shock. A woman stepped forward, Yuna Park, Minho's sister, who had been reported missing during the evacuation of Earth's moon colony. "Hello, brother," she said softly. "I'm sorry for disappearing. I had to join the others." Minho felt like the floor was shifting beneath him. "What is this? You're all traitors?" "No," his father replied firmly. "We are humanity's last hope against extinction. The war wasn't what you think." Over the next hour, Minho and his team listened to an explanation that changed everything they thought they knew. General Park showed them evidence that the architects, an ancient species, had been testing intelligent life forms across the galaxy for millions of years. They stage conflicts to evaluate a species' potential, Hyunwoo explained. Those who show the right qualities are offered ascension. Those who fail are eventually eliminated. "And the traitors?" Minho asked. "The people who helped the enemy kill our people?" "Some were true traitors working for rewards," Yuna said. "Others were like me, infiltrating their network to learn their plans. We had to let some battles happen exactly as the architects wanted. If we had won too easily, they would have simply hit us harder until we were destroyed completely." Sujin studied the data on the screens. "So the people we've been hunting were a mix of actual traitors and your undercover agents?" "Yes," Hyunwoo nodded. "And Admiral Kang is the worst of the true traitors. She believes the architects will reward humanity with advanced technology if we prove worthy in their tests." "But that's not their real plan," Yuna added. "Based on what we've learned, they don't share power. They either absorb useful species or eliminate potential rivals." Taewon had been silent until now. "My brother died at Ganymede because of this game. I'm sorry," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Some sacrifices couldn't be avoided if we wanted to learn enough to fight back. Now we have a chance, but only if we work together." Minho struggled with his emotions. Anger at the deception, relief that his father and sister were alive, confusion about his mission's true purpose. "What do we do now?" he finally asked. Hyunwoo brought up a new hologram, an enormous structure hidden in deep space. "This is the architect's local control center. Your ship, combined with our knowledge, might be able to get inside. If we can broadcast the truth to all species being tested, we might form an alliance against them." Minho looked at his crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that he felt growing in himself. Their mission had changed. They were no longer just hunting traitors. They were fighting to save humanity from a threat it didn't even know existed. "The Nemesis is at your service," Minho said, "but we'll need a new name for this mission." Yuna smiled slightly. "How about unity? Because that's what we'll need to win this fight." The war was just the start. Now we chase the traitors across the galaxy. The ship formerly known as Nemesis and now renamed Unity moved silently through the emptiness between stars. Its hull had been modified, combining Earth technology with the advanced systems Hyunwoo's team had developed. The crew was a mix. Now, Minho's original team working alongside those who had once been labeled traitors. Minho stood on the bridge, watching as they approached their target, a massive structure hidden in the darkness of space. It looked like nothing built by human hands, a series of rings within rings, slowly turning around a central sphere that glowed with soft blue light. "The Architect Control Center," Hyunwoo said, standing beside his son. "From here they monitor all their tests across this part of the galaxy." Sujin studied the readings from their sensors. The structure is generating enormous power, and there appear to be docking areas for ships. The plan was risky. Using codes and technology recovered from true traitors they had captured, they would pose as Admiral Kang's team, delivering the final assessment of humanity's performance in the war. Meanwhile, a small team would access the Architect's communication systems and broadcast the truth to all species being tested. "We're being scanned," Jiwoo reported as they drew closer. "The facility is sending us docking instructions." Minho took a deep breath. "Begin approach sequence. Everyone remember your roles." The Unity slid smoothly into a massive docking bay where strange ships of unknown design were stored. The team exited their ship, wearing suits that would hide their life signs from sensors. The interior of the facility was vast, with high ceilings and walls that seemed to shift color as they passed. "This way," Yuna whispered, leading them, through corridors that seemed to respond to their presence, lighting up as they approached. The central control should be 3 levels up. They encountered no guards or security systems, which made Minho nervous. "It's too easy," he muttered. "They don't expect resistance," his father replied. "No species has ever discovered their true purpose before." When they reached the central chamber, they found it empty of living beings. Instead, holographic displays filled the air, showing hundreds of worlds and star systems. Each display showed different species, some human-like, others completely alien. "These are all testing grounds," Sujin realized, scanning the images. Each one a war or conflict engineered to evaluate different qualities. Minho pointed to one display showing Earth. "Look, they're already setting up the next test." Before they could reach the controls, the air in the center of the room began to shimmer. A being of light and energy formed. Not solid, not quite real, but clearly intelligent. It spoke directly to their minds, its thoughts flowing into theirs. "Humans," it communicated. "You have proven interesting. Your species shows unusual adaptability. Now you face judgment." Minho stepped forward. "We reject your tests. We reject your judgment. We are not your experiments." The being seemed to flicker with something like amusement. "All lesser species are subjects of study. This is the natural order. Those who show potential may join us. Those who do not are removed." "And how many have you removed?" Hyunwoo demanded. "How many civilizations destroyed because they didn't meet your standards?" Images flashed around them, worlds burning, species extinct, all in the name of the Architect's twisted idea of evolution. While Minho and Hyunwoo kept the entity's attention, Sujin and Yuna worked quickly at the control panels. Their plan wasn't just to escape, it was to reveal the truth. "Now," Yuna called, activating the sequence they had prepared. Suddenly, every display in the room changed. The images of war and testing were replaced by the evidence they had gathered. The Architect's manipulation, their true goals, their history of destruction. And these images weren't just playing here. They were being broadcast to every world under observation, the energy being flickered violently. "This changes nothing. The tests will continue." But something was happening throughout the facility. Alarms began to sound. The walls vibrated. "The other species are attacking Architect facilities," Jiwoo reported, reading incoming signals. "They're rising up everywhere." The being launched energy bolts at them, but Minho and his team were already running back toward their ship. The entire structure had begun to shake. "We've started something they can't stop," Hyunwoo said as they raced through collapsing corridors. A galaxy-wide rebellion against the testers. They barely made it back to the Unity before the docking. Bay began to collapse. As they flew away, the massive structure behind them started breaking apart, its rings falling out of alignment. 1 month later, Minho stood before Earth's leaders in the rebuilt United Council chamber. The room was filled not just with humans, but with representatives from a dozen alien species, former enemies who now understood they had been manipulated into conflict. The war we fought was just one test among hundreds, Minho explained to the assembled leaders. Now we face a greater challenge. The architects are still out there, and they won't forgive being exposed. A tall, blue-skinned alien stepped forward. The Bao, same species that had been Earth's main enemy during the war. On my world, we have a saying, those who test others will themselves be tested. Together, we will show these architects that we are not their subjects. As the new alliance took shape, Minho found himself looking out at the stars visible through the chamber's glass ceiling. The hunt for traitors had led to something far greater, a fight for freedom that would span the galaxy. The real war is just beginning, he said quietly to Yuna, who stood beside him, but this time we won't stand alone. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the stars above. No more tests, no more manipulation. From now on, we choose our own path. The Unity, once a ship of vengeance, now waited in orbit, the first of what would become a fleet dedicated not to chasing traitors, but to protecting the freedom of all species against those who would treat them as mere experiments.